you know what? I did that just so that's not Anders, it's Andres.
We're just coming out of the green room, and we're just enjoying how you can say her name differently. This is so cool. Sheila Andres is Andres.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes, winner, chicken dinner.
Hey, so this is about. I think this is actually very, very serious what we're talking about here, because have you ever? So the whole theme around this is about, like the Sheila Show. Have you ever been called out when somebody says it's all about you, and you're like, no, I'm just going through something. I need to work through this, because if you're working through your stuff, then there's going to be some mishaps of, like, maybe somebody not wanting you to have your issue as you're working through your stuff, and they may see that you've been going through that a lot, and they just start saying something like that. It's the Sheila Show. And why this is something that I wanted to hone in today, because Sheila has different angles in this, and I was kind of watching some of your marketing. I loved it. But I know that if you have a background of stuff, as we all do, no matter what, if it's been squeaky clean, you have issues because it was too squeaky clean.
Yeah.
But you're going to be going through a lot of stuff, and the people that really are closed off emotionally, that you do it this way or that way, and it's just a very structured way, make sure you are hanging out with the right people, because they're not allowing you to process, and it feels terrible when you're called out. You really actually think, if your head's not straight and you're going through stuff and you keep getting told that, and you're like, I'm just trying to process, and this is what's going on. And after you process your stuff, it's really not about you. It's about clearing your vessel so that you can truly, authentically be there for your friends, for your clients, for your family. And when I wake up every day, I'm making sure that I'm prepping myself for my kids and my husband and everybody else too. But it first comes to me, so then I can manage, that vision that we're working on every day. So that's why this theme is so important. My name is Rhonda Liebig, and I am the host and producer of Fresh Talks Global Vision. And Sheila Andres, I'm so happy to have you here. Can we get into it right away about, I want to hear your background on why it is the Sheila Show. Why do people say that? And is it always loving, or what do you work with when you hear those words, that term?
I love how you jumped into it. And if anybody's watching this, you could see that my head would not stop bobbling. I'm like a bobblehead today, because everything you were saying, I'm like, yeah, right now. Yes, the Sheila Show. So I have to tell you, I sat here thinking and reflecting back on what's most important to share today, since we have limited time. And it opened up a humongous vacuum. And you stepped into a space that was like, can we get 2 days on this, Rhonda? But what you were saying was very true. I think what I would probably share is the following. The Sheila Show has taken me years to even get to this place. This place that I would say really leans into an authentic version of myself. And I also want to be honest that I'm still working on her. And I think this is a process that is continuous. And what you shared, it's ironic, because I feel like where I'm coming from was a little bit opposite to that, but there is truth in what you're saying. So when I was younger, I was shushed a lot because I've got the gift of gab. I'm just very boisterous, loud. I've got this really bold, fun energy that really draws people. And so when I'm just in my innate self and who I'm being, that's what comes out. But as a little girl, I was shushed. And I know a lot of people have experienced this. Now, I don't want to say this under the umbrella of dishonoring any family member, anyone that's close to me that might have shushed me, because they were just doing what they thought was best. And I want to really preface to say that I was loved. But even me saying that took a process to get there. And that shushing felt like, no, you shouldn't be in the limelight, Sheila. You shouldn't draw attention. You're too loud. You need to sit still and be quiet until it's the right time for you to speak and I don't know, show up and whatnot. So as an entrepreneur, Do you see where the constant block is? Because we're called to bring this gift and align with our purpose, and we need to show up. But subconsciously in the background, I'm like, no, I can't. I have to show up when it's the right time and when I'm told to. And it's like, now's the time. So there were so many things that really showed up. I'm sorry. There were a lot of truths along my path of journey as an entrepreneur that started to surface. And it made me come back to go, what the heck is going on here? What is this? Why don't I feel good in my own skin? Why can't I be clear about who I want to be? Why do I feel confident about myself in one moment? And then in another, I'm like, I'm ready to wet my pants, So I do want to say this thing about authenticity. I felt like it's a really all-encompassing embodiment and a place of where you are free to be. And I think that's why it's so big. What does freedom to be really mean? And you can't get here without willing to know who you really are, to face your truths. What are you good at? What are you not? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses are? You have to face your self-image. We have this image about who we think we are. And you need to really face that to see, how are you seeing yourself? And is it really honest or not? And the thing that I was going to say that was really ironic with what you were talking about is because it felt like I was kind of denying my true self for a very long time. But as we go along our life journey, people show up. And I want to encourage you guys to stay open and really listen to what other people are really showing and telling you about who you are. And a lot of it was, oh my God, your energy. We're constantly laughing. It's joyful. I don't know how many times people have said, you got to have your own TV show, Sheila.
Sheila, are you going to do a podcast? Where is your TV show?
Well, you're funny. You're funny. You need to bring this. I've been hiding for a very long time.
We launched podcast, Mama. We need to get you out there.
Thank you, love. Thank you, love. But that's what it is. And I think the culmination of it was recognizing that all these things people are telling me has a value. And to understand what that value is and receive it, embrace it, and just be the bold energy. Be the joy that could bring, happiness to the room. Be the catalyst for transformation when somebody's having a sucky day. Yeah. And can use a little love and rejuvenation. Be the leader when you're called to be. I don't need to have a title, but if I'm born to lead and I'm called to lead, to create impact and to do good in the world, I step up without even second guessing it. And it's really about that. Can you feel good about your own skin and show up fully as yourself? And here's one last kicker. Not only do you have to see what other people see in you, but you also get to decide who you want to be.
Yeah. You get to decide. I think it's in those quiet times also, that you get to really hear the reality of stuff. And we say so many words to ourselves that sometimes we don't even know because it's just a subconscious thing. And you can get those patterns going that you don't even know why you're doing certain things until you get quiet. And in that quiet space, I can hear what you're saying, that all of a sudden you start really hearing who you are. Because there's a lot of times you're just in patterns based on what you were raised around and what you believe is true. And a lot of it sometimes is people are going in the negative spot of like who you are. But when somebody really pulls in the positive, really leaning into that and see if somebody's saying something that's constructive. Oh, I love having those conversations too.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, I was called Magpie by my mom because I just loved talking, loved asking questions. I was asking tons of questions. And I was in a mastermind last weekend, and this person that was leading it, she was saying, you really are a curious person. Like that is like really, really good. And I forgot that when I was a kid, because I've been doing this for 8 years. But why I'm talking about this is find the gems of what you enjoy doing. And here we're all about opening the voice. Okay, so I have a question for you, Sheila.
Yeah.
So when you finally discovered that authentic person, you start hearing more stuff, especially being a leader, maybe even being a woman, if we want to get into that. And you've always really excelled at what you did. So when you found your voice or found your energy of who you were and really started honing in, what did that feel like? What was the awakening, that pivot point that got you to finally feel it and say, I'm not really showing up as myself, like not fully. And I can see why you can be shut down, because you do accelerate a lot of things. So I could see that kind of being overwhelming for some people too.
You know what? You're absolutely right, because in the sense of, it's not always been peachy keen. You know, I get into a space, and I remember going to a networking event, and we had to do this little speed dating thing about introducing yourself. We only had a minute. And I was next to a gal who was an expert in sales. Oh my gosh, her little impact statement or elevator pitch was on point. Well, we had to go in a circle, and I ended up last. I don't know what it is, but I have this like sense about timing. So everybody did not fill the 60 seconds. And I was joking, going, I probably will, because my mouth can't stop. But the whole table was laughing. And I don't even think my little elevator pitch or impact statement was stellar at all. But what I felt intuitively and in the room or in that table setting was that they saw me. There was a connection. There was a bond. And it really didn't matter what I said. It was that, can I make a lasting impression on you? Well, when it ended, the gal next to me, she took a hit. She took a hit at me, saying like, can I tell you something? And I thought, she's going to give me advice. She's going to take a hit. And I'm like,
she's going to do it.
And I'm like, okay, well, it's okay. I felt it. And I'm like, well, she at least asked for permission. And I'm always open to learn and receive feedback, good or bad, and see what I could do to learn from it. Yeah. So I told her, and she goes, it's your words, these little, words that are just fluff. You need to go down and hit facts. And then she kind of goes, well, I've got a meeting and I've got to go, and literally dismissed me. And I sat there going, wow, that hurt. That hurt a lot. And I wanted to share this because we don't know what we don't know. And we're going to have people come into our space that's going to trigger the trauma, trigger the insecurities, trigger the vulnerabilities. And there are some that's also going to affirm and show you love and support. How are you supposed to truly see yourself in this beautiful way, all good and bad, if you can't really know or see yourself fully and take the effort to almost make sense of who comes into your space?
Yeah.
The power of decision is really what I'm saying. That person came in, didn't make me feel good. I could have sat there, and there's 20 million ways this could have gone. Yeah. Oh my God, she's so true. I suck. I have no value. How many years have I done this?
I have no value. I have no value. It's only tearing you down.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah. I suck. She's a pro, so she must know what she's talking about, right? Or sitting there going, did that really have anything to do with me?
Yeah.
Did that really have anything to do with me? But how will you know that if you don't have some sense of inner validation? And this is what I'm talking about. This authentic self, this version of you. There is a greater version of ourselves. And if we allow this life journey and stay open to it, we are going to constantly learn and grow. We're going to evolve into something better, beautiful, more impactful, whatever that looks like to you. But it's more in a good way. Okay. And as we continue, we can't really discern or to know and how to sift through all this noise to find and decide who we are and who we want to be if we don't take an effort to discover ourselves. So listen to all the good and bad. Listen to the things that trigger you, what your vulnerabilities are. Try to understand it. Get comfortable and intimate with it. Because in that mess, in that big pot of stew, when you're throwing all kinds of stuff in it, you're like, I'm not sure what I'm making here.
There went a carrot.
It smells good sometimes, and then it doesn't smell good sometimes. But when you're in there, it forces you to really reflect and make decisions about, is that inner voice? Is that vulnerability? Is this who I want to be?
Yeah.
Is this who I want to be? Do I want to listen to him or her? And the aha moment, I have to tell you, is it's a culmination. It's one of those where people keep telling you certain things in a different way, but saying the same thing, and you have to decide, am I going to believe them or not?
Yeah.
You know, and I do know this, and this is my jam, because this is what happened to me. When I'm in a loving and trusted space with someone I know I can truly respect, who's there to help and support me and uplift me and drops the bomb, that's what it's easier for me to have the aha moments and to receive and accept myself and love myself fully.
Man, I've been reflecting on this, and I think it's probably something we can reflect on every day, because it's like, how can we do those breakthroughs and really show up as the authentic us? I'm learning that I can fall into this, oh, woe's me. But it comes in different layers where you don't even catch it. Because like the beginnings are so easy to catch. And I mean, you know, you're just like, oh yeah, I just said poor me, or like, you know, you can, those other ones. But when you start clearing that and you're trying to go to that next layer and that next layer, it's rooted. It's rooted so deep you don't even know you're showing up like that. But I noticed that if I am looking at somebody and I'm saying, you are triggering me, you did this, you are affecting me, because this may be advanced, but I want to talk about actually how we get into that. But I want to say this part. Anytime I show up like that, I'm trying to catch it now, because I think we'll learn forever as long as we're here in this school, you know, earth school stuff. Let's start supporting each other when we hear somebody feel like they are not worthy, they're not strong. And instead of beating them down and saying, oh, and putting something towards them, which I would do when I was in corporate, I just didn't understand, you know, that crying and also being fluid with things, and along also with the structure, that combination flow is very powerful. Where before I was just beating myself up. And so I would notice that was something that I would reflect back on somebody else. And so nobody really felt safe with me. I mean, you know, they thought, well, Rhonda's really nice, but then the other side would come out. If you even see somebody act like that, make sure you're giving yourself the opportunity just to breathe in and allow them to be that, but maybe ask a question to help them reflect, because I know for sure that I wanted somebody to help me reflect, but it would have been in a loving space. And so, Sheila, if we backtrack a little bit here, when we go into where we are kind of going in slowly in who we are, we're not really acting like us. We don't really feel safe in a space. And so we will play that game. From there to the point of really being able to call yourself out, catch it, you know that you're doing it, you're like, okay, flip it. Or somebody says something, you don't take it personal, but you flip it. What is the exercise? How do you show up to help somebody be able to flip it right when they come in to start playing with this? Or they could be in the middle of their tantrum of like, poor me. But what are some of the things that you actually are noticing that you do, and it helps somebody if they're feeling safe and they have you as a coach, you're like, I'm all in. What are the things that you like to do to help somebody pull themselves up so they can really see the superstar?
You know, first of all, I just want to commend you for stepping into this place of bold honesty. It is gorgeous. It's empowering. I think it was so important for other people to hear that. Yes, get that cheetah sexy vibe on, Rhonda. Because you know
I feel sexy, because sexy is empowering. You know, it's like how sexy is that down to the cell level. So Sheila, I receive. Thank you, my friend.
You know what's sexy about it? And what's empowering about it is that you can confidently talk about these things that before we would probably like lock in the closet, hide in shame about, like, oh my gosh. Excuse me, you're not alone. I've cried a river, cried me my little violin sob story, and it multiple times. And the thing was, I never felt good about it. You can kind of feel the energy and the interaction. But then what happens here is that aha moment comes in, whether it's a person, a quiet time of reflection. But I'll tell you, multiple things has had to happen that kind of planted seeds or tried to show you what was happening here. And what I'm saying is, I'm sure there was little signs showing me you're playing victim, Sheila, because you're crying all the time. You know, let's say, woe is me, the violin comes out. And unless you go through that and what it feels like, and sometimes worse, like somebody ripped the Band-Aids off of your eyes.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we don't know. Yeah. So when it hits you, or somebody, they could have been an attack. It's like, oh my gosh, cry me a river. You're such a victim. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
If they were being spiteful.
No structure. You're just like, okay, what does that mean? How do I get out of it?
Yeah. No, so it hurts. And so the thing here is it's like, how can you lean into gratitude? Because that ripping of the Band-Aid opened your eyes to something that you weren't able to see. And it's going to keep happening, these little signs, until you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to be a victim. And then you decide. So the tactic and strategy, it's crazy. I was just thinking about this because sometimes it's challenging still for me to communicate what my value is, because I'm very experiential. I'm very specific to you. And all I do is I meet you where you're at. But I understand that in this journey, I'm here to support you into a greater version of yourself. I'm here to support you to take action, because in the action, the path opens up, and that's where the learning and growth comes in. And if I can be there to love and support on you when the breakdown happens, the faster the breakthrough will come. And that's where the growth comes in. So what I would share here is the following. I know this sounds self-serving, but I'm really standing in my worth and trying to express in a way what the value is for you. If you really are saying, I want to be better, I want to learn, I want to overcome, I want to be more an empowered version of myself. All I ever want to do in my business is to create this very trusting and loving and safe space where you could show up to be and to step into honesty and start talking about the things and not having to hide. And in there, I'm encouraging you to completely always stay open.
Yeah.
And I step forth in leadership to have that difficult conversation with you. But I do it in the best way of service, as an act of love and support. It's not so much the words that I use, but I'm very mindful of it. But it's how you feel. Because I'm about to drop a mic right now. I'm about to drop several mics. And it could be, where is this tendency for control and perfectionism coming from? Where is this tendency to, why are you feeling like a victim when all I can see is a very empowered woman? What stole your mojo right now? So it's dropping these mics because it's ripping the Band-Aids out. It's because this is what you need to know. If you didn't know it, how are you supposed to change? And that's the part. One of the strategies here is the awareness. Awareness is a catalyst of change. So unless you become aware of what is getting in your way of success, of your joy, of your peace, of your sense of fulfillment or validation, how can you know what you need to work on and or change? And I feel like the most loving thing I could do for you is to help you see that. And the processes, that's why I say, I want to journey with you.
Yeah.
Because I know when I get an aha moment, I'm like, oh my gosh. That was one of the biggest seeds of why I don't feel like I'm worthy of love. And it might be an aha moment and I feel so empowered. But as I start to continue life, what I haven't built is the resiliency. I haven't built or completely transformed my negative belief yet. I haven't changed the way my mind thinks and how it affects how I feel and how I decide to show up. So I'm here to almost reinforce and support this transformation. And believe it or not, I think it's a way to accelerate your progress because you need reinforcement. Some people could call it accountability. I'm here to hold you accountable to the greatest version of yourself. You said yes to this. You said you want to be better than you, and I'm showing up for you. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to remind you. I'm going to support you in action. I'm going to call out. I'm going to call you out when you're getting in your way.
Yeah.
But they said I needed this. They committed to it. It might hurt sometime, but I'll tell you, every time we have a session and a difficult conversation comes up, we always end it in love. Everyone's fired up. We feel good even when we're simmering in our bed of poo-poo because we now know the poop we're in or the crap we've allowed into our space. And we're like, I need some big, bold panty wipes to make a curtain out of the crap that gets thrown my way so that it doesn't land on my face, you know?
Hey, let me ask you a question then. Okay, so not about the poo-poo, by the way. That was kind of fun. I mean, why not? Let's just keep talking about that.
Yeah.
So now you are seeing that you're able to support somebody moving forward. If we could help people out there that have felt shut down, that they want their own show and know that it's like good value and not just, oh, I'm embarrassed because someone just called me out that, you know, that it's my show, but you're also explaining that my show could be like, wake up, it is your show. And you want to step into that. What does that look like in the trajectory when you get somebody that really starts honing in on where they're stopping themselves? How does that affect their life? How does that affect their business? How does that affect relationships? What are you seeing out there as you're doing your work?
Everyone is so unique. I want to remind you that there's no one else like you in the whole wide world. That's why I feel like I can't do this one size fits all. The strategy and tactic is for me to meet you where you're at and to provide the transformation, the strategy, the self-love and care, and maybe even spiritual support that's tailored to you. The spiritual support is not about preaching to you, but it is recognizing when there are things that keep you up at night.
Yeah.
How can I help you find that peace and reprieve? And when you go there, even if it's simple as sitting in silence or meditating, I've had every person tell me it's a very, very spiritual feeling, like encounter, you know, or experience. So what happens here is the trajectory. Example, I remember working with a gal. She goes, after maybe 2 months, we might have met only twice. She sat there and she goes, Sheila, I've been working on myself for 10, 11, 12 years. And only now have I ever felt like I finally found my voice.
Wow.
And the voice meant for her to speak without second guessing herself, for her to speak and understand I have value.
Yeah.
The other thing here was another person I was working with for some time. It was profound. It was profound what she shared. And I think this is important for people to hear because it's huge. It's huge. Accountability.
Yeah.
She went off and she goes, you know what you helped me realize or helped me to own is to take accountability for the decisions I have made in my life that has got me here, good and bad.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm saying in terms of the trajectory, it's this. You have to realize that there is more to you. And if you could deny it all you want, but if you sit there, you can't deny that constant tugging and longing and desire for more. Like even you, the curiosity, that's a pull. There's a calling to understand or for more, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
You see, it's like, I can't tell you what it is for me because it may be different for you, but I hope in this example, you'll find what that calling looks like for more.
Yeah.
And then to say, I am great and I could be better than this. Well, better at what? You can better at what do you want to be better at? You can't really even define that until you look at yourself to say, this is how I see who I am. This is what I think that I am. And this is where I want to be better. And then you got to sit there and go, well, is it true? Or is this a lie? Or is it not? You know, like, oh, I'm what is that? I'm really loud, you know, or nobody wants to listen to me. Is that really true or not?
Yeah. You know, and we're learning about the people that we are around. They could, if you are in a space where you're still growing and trying to figure things out, they could smush things that are such a beautiful growth time. And I could hear with you keeping a safe space that they can catch on when somebody on the exterior is really actually coming in and trying to stop them. Because it's hard when somebody's growing. If you're not in a growth pattern, which I don't think anybody watching this podcast would be in that stuck space, but they could derail you, especially when you're at the beginning. So I could hear all the work about you're an individual. The way you experience is almost like, you know, you're just like you're in euphoria in some way of like being whoa. And that feeling of whatever it is what's going to come up, and it's going to say to you, you nailed it. You got this. So how do people get connected with you so that they can have maybe a conversation, or you have some things in a private group, or you have a freebie for people? What would you like to give people that are on this journey that you really are talking about, that they really are curious about this conversation, how they can step into it, and they really are looking at changing their life?
Thank you. And what I would say is the following. I know what the world says has good tactics and suggestions, but following a success plan or what somebody says, it doesn't work if it doesn't resonate with you. So I like to move at the beat of my own drum, and I help people do that. And I'm saying this because my gift is this: get in my space, get in the space where I could share a trusting and loving environment where you can really feel that you could sit there and say, I'm stuck. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where instantly people feel it and they start telling me things, and what they may not realize is that they're stuck in some form or fashion. But the beauty of it is I could see they're honest, they feel safe. And now I'm able to respond back with a powerful reflection of their truth so that they can see more about who they are and where they're at. And that's where it starts to begin, the clarity of what is really going on, so that you can then move forward and take the next steps. And most likely it is about making a decision, making a decision. And on that note, yes, I have a process of helping people go from a place of stuck to progress. I would love to be able to give that link. A more powerful one is, if you're committed, just spend some time with me. I know there's all these people saying, come do a discovery call, come do that.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I get in there.
We'll make sure. No, let's hold the space for you, not anybody else, please.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of noise out there, so I just want to make sure we focus on you.
Thank you.
Can you send that link? And as soon as I get it, I will make sure we put in the description wherever we're at, and I'll make sure they connect with you, because to feel safe and to be able to laugh and learn how to be playful and also serious, because this work is a big challenge, but it's more of a challenge if you stay in the space of being scared and frightened that you can't be yourself and trying to figure out the mask that you want to wear that day. And then you forget what mask you left that mask at home, that you didn't get the right mask. And so you're not fitting in the group. I mean, what we're talking about here is forget the mask. But you may need it for a while as you're going through a transition. So I want to make sure that you step into Sheila's link or have a conversation with her. We really need you out there. This podcast, Fresh Talks Global Vision, is about opening the voice. And, if you've been shut down and we're not talking about like what your parents did in this, because that's another conversation that we don't really get into, but it's just that sometimes you just keep shutting yourself down because that's been the cycle, and you are pointing your finger at yourself You don't even realize it. But anytime you feel something on your skin, like just shame, or inside you just feel something, it's like, oh, I just want to be in another place. Notice that you're actually trying to step out of your body. And the healthier you are in your mind, which Sheila was talking about, that she meets up with you in certain spots to make sure that she can carry you and move you forward, because you'll need that. It's really hard to do it by yourself because it feels very vulnerable, and you keep second guessing yourself, but you'll keep going back to who you were because people around you won't know that you actually are growing, and they may say, oh, it's the Rhonda thinking that's all about her, or or it's the Sheila show. But we really do want to have those cries. We want to be focused, and if there's a process that we need to go through, even if it was just an hour ago you went through something, but something else came up, make sure you process it, because that energy in your body is just, what I see now is abusive to your body. Because once you start telling your body you love it, and you start really actually stepping outside of your body to really look at it and say, I'm going to take the best care I can of you. But there's different layers, and whatever layer feels right for you, as long as you're moving forward. I call this hashtag speaker locking arms. Let's make sure that we hold the space for everyone that's ready to open up their voice. And we're all here for you. I want you to look at Sheila Andres and get in and really check in with her. If you're really serious about this, this is the time. Thank you, Sheila, for being with us. And this is probably your third or fourth time. Because we were with a group and we're this. I mean, like, it's been all over, which has been cool.
No, you've been amazing host and allowing me to be here. And right now you're exemplifying, showing people your authentic self. Yeah. And I feel like that's so powerful, because you said it, the world is so noisy. So if you want to know what's really going to propel you forward, is when you feel so good in your own skin, when you can show up and speak the words and the value that you're meant to bring to the world, and you could show up in this way. It's like, that's what's going to help you to stand out, so.
And feel safe within yourself. I'm learning how to be whole. Even in a marriage, because sometimes we're leaning in so much in our marriage that we don't realize that we're not feeling whole. And that's where a lot of the leaky energy can be around that. So I appreciate everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Here's your Mindset Transformation Entertainment. Step into it. Love on yourself. Keep telling your body, I love you. Thank you very much. Here we go. I will see you later. Namaste.